Hi everyone, it has been the longest time since I've posted anything on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to try and make an effort to change that and post a bit more on here. And yesterday I had asked some of my Instagram followers and followers in my Facebook group to send me some images, and I would choose one of them to edit for a tutorial. I didn't get too many responses from that, unfortunately, but hopefully next time if I do this again, or if any of you guys want to send me one of your images for me to edit on here, that would be absolutely awesome. The picture that I've chosen today is, I guess, a fine art type picture, something similar to the style that I do, with like a darker background. And it's actually from one of my members of Focus, Lindsay Christie. So thank you, Lindsay, for sending this image in. I'm going to see where the edit of this takes me. I think I'm predominantly going to work in Camera Raw filter, which is very similar to Lightroom, and see what changes I can make in there first, and then bring it into Photoshop and have a play around with it in there. I'm not going to do too much of a detailed edit with this because I just want to show you the changes that you can make in Camera Raw if you are editing a whole gallery of images and you're not going to be spending such a long amount of time on each image. So we're going to start there. I'm going to take this image into Camera Raw and let's see where this edit takes us. So let's dive straight in. Okay, so this is the image here that I have chosen, and I think what I'm going to do is maybe just have a play around with the lighting first. This one, it does look a little bit overexposed. It's a little bit bright. I'm going to work on the background. I might even use AI to change this table to something darker. Let's just see. So first thing I'm going to do is Command J to create a new layer. And let's go Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to lift the shadows a little bit. So let's bump the shadows up. Let's go about a plus 42, I think. I'm going to look at it and see if I maybe bring exposure down a tad. Let's go about a minus 10 with our exposure. Whites, I'm going to pull whites down a little bit, so let's go about a minus 11 with our whites. Blacks I'm probably not going to touch, although I might just bump them up slightly, very slightly. I went a plus 2. Okay, next up I'm going to pull up my temperature slider. I'm going to make it a little bit warmer. And same with tint, I'm going to go towards the magenta and pull in maybe about a plus 6 with my tint. Texture, I'm going to pull texture down a little bit, and I'm going to pull clarity up. So I've gone a minus 10 with my texture, plus 8 with my clarity, and now we're coming down into the colour mixers. So hue, saturation, luminance, and on here I'm not going to be doing too much. Saturation for reds, I'm just going to pull it up a little bit, plus 9. Oranges, I'm going to go plus 9 also. We'll just keep them to be the same. And orange luminance, I'm going to just pull that up slightly. Usually if my image is more underexposed, I'm going to pull these oranges up for the skin tones a little bit more, but not in this image. I'm going to have a little look at the blues and purples to see if it had done anything on the shirt. Maybe the purples, I'm going to pull the purple down to make this shirt more cooler. And we'll see what saturation does as well on the purple. Yep, again I'm going to pull purple down a little bit as well. Minus 64. Obviously these values are going to depend on the image that you are editing, but the whole process is very similar. What I'll do next is I'm just going to bump up my sharpening a little bit, maybe about 28. And then next up I'm going to come over here into the masks, and I'm going to select my background first. I can't decide if I want to lighten or darken this background, so let's have a little look and see what would look best. Right, so going down to exposure, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to darken it down a little bit. So let's go about a -40. What I'm wanting to do is to make the subject stand out more against the background. Let me see, we might even just take blacks down a smidge, maybe a -3 for the blacks. And I want to actually cool the temperature of this background down. I don't want it to be quite so warm. I'm maybe going to go about a -8 for that. I don't really want to make my subject pop. If the subject was darker, I would go select subject and do some changes on there. Although let's see, maybe just lifting the shadows a little bit. Let's try bringing the highlights down a little. Might even bring the whites down a little bit as well. About -6, I think. Yeah, okay, so I did make some changes in there on the subject actually. I wondered actually if we could pull exposure down just a tad as well, maybe a -5. So let's have a little look. This was our before and this was our after. All just done using Camera Raw. There's obviously so much more that you can do on here. Whilst I'm still on the subject, I could change skin tone a little bit. And in fact, I might just bring in just a touch more magenta. I'm going to go +3 with magenta. Okay, but I'm quite happy with how that's looking now, so I'm going to click OK and let's head on into Photoshop. Making changes to your lighting and backgrounds and your subject is done so quickly in Camera Raw Filter that I always think it's such a great place to start. And quite often through my edits, I pop back into Camera Raw Filter again if I'm still wanting to make some changes in there. So I'm much happier with how this is looking now. We've brightened those shadows, we've changed the colour tones a little bit, we've fixed the backdrop a little as well just by darkening it, changing the colour tone. We can see on the shadows on this side have been filled in, brightened his eyes, filled in the shadows on this side as well. So I'm happy with how that's looking. I'm going to go ahead and flatten my image. What I want to do next, I think, is just work on this backdrop a little bit more. So I'm going to Command J to create a new layer. And I'm going to come along here and grab the patch tool. And I'm just going to try and grab the creases on here and see if we can just minimize them a little bit. So I'm just like grabbing large sections and just dragging them to more smoother sections. We are going to, because it doesn't look like there has been any kind of fill light on this side, the shadows are quite dark on this side, which will mean that some detail is lost in there. Okay, I'm happy with how that looks now, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten my image. And the next thing I want to do is make this background a little bit cooler again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hue and saturation layer. I'm just going to pull that saturation down. And obviously I don't want that on my subject, so taking a black brush, let's brush that off so that it's only going to be on the background. I'm just kind of going as close to the edges, and then I will go on at a lower flow, maybe around 30%, and just go a little bit even closer to the edges. Okay. Happy with how that looks. I like the cooler background. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit in case I've missed a little bit on the hair at the edges there. Okay. Maybe a little bit too cool, so let's go back to 0. I'm going to set that to be about 50%. I'm happy with that. Okay, so next up I can see some stray hairs, so I'm just going to create a new layer and I'll switch to the spot tailing tool, and let's see what kind of job it does getting rid of them. So I'm just going to drag over the hair. Terrible. Let's try it just a bit at a time. A bit better. Not awesome, but not terrible. I'm just going to grab the hairs that I find are most distracting in this image. So we're going to grab this one here. And the spot healing tool is quickest. It's not as accurate as the healing brush tool or even using the patch tool. But for quickness, it's definitely better. I'm not going to bother about all the stray hairs. I'll get these little blemishes around here. A bit like my kids most times in an image. My kids have always got a little bit of food around their faces. Okay, so we've fixed those stray hairs that were most annoying. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop into my action set, which is my Focus Painterly Fine Art Workflow action set, which is really what I use on every image. We're going to start and do a little bit of frequency separation on here. So I'm going to grab my lasso tool, and what this is going to do is just smooth the skin. I'm going to grab sections of the skin like that, and I'm going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and set it to be 20 pixels. It will be too strong, so we can reduce the opacity of this at the end. And we'll just hit that Gaussian blur again. And again. Just making sure that you avoid going over like eyes, nose, mouth. I'll grab hands as well. Okay. This is obviously too strong. I'll zoom in a little bit and we'll see this before, after. So I don't want that to be on there at 100%, so let's go back to 0 and we'll just bring it in gradually. Maybe around 50% looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten my image. Okay, next up I'm going to run the Make It Pop brush, still within that same action set, and what this is going to do is just make everything pop that little bit. So switch to a white brush, let's bump flow back up to 100. I'm just going to run this all over, even on the books as well. Love. Too strong though, so let's bring it down to 0. I think around about 40% looks pretty good, so I'm going to flatten my image. And then next up, I think let's visit AI and see if we can change this table a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this tool here, which is the quick selection tool, and let's just see if we can grab most of this table. And we're going to bring these books back out. And this book as well. Okay. Maybe come up to that edge just a touch more. Now, if you've used AI, you will know that it is a complete hit or miss what you get from it. Let's say wooden table. And let's see what it gives us, shall we? Whoa, that's terrible. That one isn't too bad. Can't decide if I want to go with that one or not. I'm going to screenshot that one. And let's try it one more time. I wonder if we try vintage wooden table. Could try vintage wooden table and see what that gives us. Okay, this one looks better to me. This one, I much prefer this one. I'm keeping it. I like that one. I don't even know if I'm going to crop that there or not. You're going to have to make the table a little bit darker, for sure, but I prefer that to the original. Okay, so now what I think I'm going to do is let's create a curves layer. I'm going to pull my mid-tones down, and then using a black brush, let's take flow down to about 50, and let's start to brush that off of our subject. And you know, if you hate AI, that's totally cool. It's not for everyone, but personally, I like to have a play around with it, and I find it really fun. There's a little bit here on the face. Let me grab that. Okay. Happier with how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and flatten my image. Because I'm not doing a full entire edit of this image, I'm just going to do a couple things more, and then we will be done. So I'm going to just let's do a wee smidge of colour grading. So adjustments, selective colour. Let's go red first. I'm just going to warm it up a little. So let's go a -14 with cyan. Magenta, we touch, +4. Yellow, +8. On the yellow channel, let's go cyan. Let's go a +10. Magenta, let's go a -6. And yellow, maybe a +2. Let's have a little look-ski. Yep, I like that little warmth that it gives to the image. I'm deciding right now, turning it on and off, if I want it to be everywhere. Or do I just want it on the subject? But I think I'm going to... Now let's see. Command-I to invert it. White brush, 100%. And let's just brush it on our little subject. Okay. Yeah, I like it just on the subject, but it's a bit too strong, so let's take it down a bit. Maybe even a touch less actually. +54. Looks pretty good to me. I think what I will do is just make this a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and create a blank layer. I'm going to come down to gradient, and I'm going to let's just select from the shadows over there, and let's just drag this on and then take it down to 0 and bring it on a bit gradually. I feel like the front of that is just a bit too bright, so it's distracting me. I'm going to keep that on there like so. What we could probably do is just crop this a little bit more and center our subject just a touch. Might even just pull that down there and just at the edge. Okay, that is looking better to me. If I was going to do anything further with this, it would be doing some dodge and burn next, possibly a bit more colour grading. What might actually do though is let's add a little bit of blush to cheeks and lips and nose. So let's take flow down to about 20%. I will leave a little link in the description below if you are interested in these actions. They are the actions that I use every day, every single day, and I love them. I know I've gone overboard with this here, but I am obviously going to mega reduce it. So let's take the opacity all the way down to 0. Maybe around 28%. Looks pretty good to me. I think what we could do is probably let's just add a little brightening of the eye. We'll go on at 100 and then we can just reduce the opacity. We have really small catch lights in the eye here. So obviously a small light source. I don't know why it took me so long to say that. We can maybe even do a little bit brighter here. Either a small light source or a light source that is quite far away from this subject. Yep, maybe to take it down a little. About 73% looks pretty good to me. I'm going to flatten my image. Finishing touches. I do want to make this table a little bit darker. So let's come and create a curves layer. Pull down the midtones. Command I to invert that. And let's just brush it onto this table. I feel like it's just too bright. Let's take it to 0 and just bring it on. Maybe there, about 54%. What I'd also like to do, I think, is just make this background a little more out of focus, a little more blurred. So let's go Command J. We're going to pop back into Camera Raw filter again. And I'm going to come to the masks and I'm going to select my background. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm coming down to texture and clarity. I'm going to pull the texture down and I'm going to pull clarity down. Maybe even can get away with doing a little bit more of that. So that it gives me a softer background. What we could also do is just slightly reduce the contrast a little bit. Let's click OK. Okay, and we can see before. Let's actually zoom in a little bit, and after, before and after. So it just gives us a little bit of a softer, more separation between our subject and the background. And final things, I feel like I've maybe just brought a little bit too much orange tones, warm tones into the hair. So let's create a hue and saturation layer. I'm just going to pull the saturation down. Command I to invert that. And then I'm just going to brush this over the hair. Just so that it's not quite as warm. Okay, and I think I'm happy with that. One more thing, Command J, filter, Camera Raw filter, one more time. I'm going to go to Effects, and let's just bring in a little vignette, not much, -8. And just to frame the subject a little bit more in the image. There, and I'm quite happy with that. If I was going to take it more painterly, I would do some more dodge and burn, some colour grading, but I'm quite happy with how that looks. So let's have a little look at our before. We started here and we ended here. So before and after. I hope that you enjoyed that tutorial and that you've picked up some little hints and tips of things that you can do in Camera Raw and Photoshop. If you're interested in my finer workflow actions, I will leave the link in the description. If you would like to see me edit one of your images next, please feel free to send them to me so that it can be any genre whatsoever, you know, outdoors, studio, pets, boudoir, anything at all. and I'll give it a go. But it's really fun, and I think it's really nice to see someone else's take on the edit of other people's images. At least I know I love to watch that. So anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I would love to have more of you follow me on this journey. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, and I shall see you later.